All right, here's number 5, the explanation of the fifth memory by Gascoignes. This one is quite interesting and plays on the same themes as the fourth of court and the, let's say, not too virtuous nature of court. When peerless princes' courses were free from flattery, the justice from unequal doom, the quest from perjury, pilfers of the state from proud presumption, the clerks from heresy, the commons from rebellion, then right rewards were given by sway of due desert. Then virtue's darlings might be placed aloft to play their part. So he's saying there was a time when there wasn't flattery of princes, there wasn't unequal doom. Doom is an old English word meaning judgment, unequal judgment. The quest from perjury, quest meaning like inquest, meaning like a court proceeding, from perjury, from liars. The pilferers of the state, from proud presumption. The clerks from heresy. So clerks in this case not meaning clerks like in a government agency, but clerks like in a religious context. The commons from rebellion. Interestingly enough, this is way before the commons rebel against Charles I, but he's talking about a different kind of rebellion here. Then right reward was given by sway of due desert. So justice, getting what you deserve. He says back before all these terrible things were part of society and politics, virtue's darlings might be placed aloft to play their part. So back when politics was pure, I'm not sure when that actually was, but he's imagining an ideal world like the Golden Age, sort of like what Homer would describe. A time when a man could lift a boulder that nowadays 2 men couldn't lift, those moments in the Iliad. Then might they count it true, so back in this time when people were more virtuous in politics, then might they count it true that hath been said of old, the children of those happy days were born in beds of gold. Again, referencing the Golden Age ideas of Homer and others in the past, and swaddled in the same. The nurse that gave them suck was wife to liberality, and leman is a word that has completely fallen out of usage, but it means concubine, to good luck. So wife of liberality, of virtue, and concubine to good luck, good fortune. So not only people doing good things, but also good happenstances befalling them. When Caesar won the field, his captains caught the towns, meaning they sort of were rewarded by the towns, and every painful soldier's purse was crammed full of crowns being gold pieces. Lycurgus, for good laws, lost his own liberty, and thought it better to prefer common commodity. So a leader of state, Lycurgus, a leader of the Spartans. There's a life of Lycurgus that I will read on this channel soon. It's not very long, it's pretty interesting. It also has some interesting references to the music of the Spartans, which is particularly interesting to me. Lycurgus, for good laws, lost his own liberty and thought it better to prefer common commodity. So a leader who is living for the people rather than for himself. But now the times are turned. It is not as it was. So again, a golden age. The gold is gone. The silver sunk and nothing left but brass. To see a king encroach, what wonder should it seem, when commons cannot be content with country diadem? So if you see a king encroaching upon someone else's domain, in this case probably inside the kingdom, like encroaching on the rights of the commons, then why should people be surprised if the commons aren't content simply to run their little counties, their country diadems? Diadem is a crown, so to be just in charge of the country, why would it be surprising that the commons aren't content with that when the king is encroaching himself? The prince may die a babe, trussed up by treachery, where vain ambition doth move trustless nobility. So again, a situation where a baby who's innocent is schemed against because of vain ambition. That's the world we live in now, he's saying. Errors in pulpit preach, where faith in priesthood fails. Promotion, not devotion, is the cause why clergy quails. So he's saying we get a clergy that's more focused on their own promotion than ensuring the devotion of the people that they are tasked with serving and ensuring the salvation of. This is the stage staked out, where all these parties be played. I, the prologue, should pronounce, but that I am afraid. So he's saying, this is the world we're living in, this is the world we're acting in, this is the world I'm presenting to you here, and I should pronounce the prologue. So he's imagining this probably like a mask. He says these parts be played, this is where the stage is staked out. Masks were more common at court. Masks are, private, courtly entertainment of a theatrical and musical nature. He's probably thinking of that, though he may be thinking of public plays. Depending on when he's writing this, and depending on when playhouses start to really become prominent in England, he may or may not have experience with that. We could do a little research to figure that out, but it's unclear exactly, based on the provenance of these poems, exactly when he wrote them. Presumably, it has to be before 1570s, because that's when the collection was printed. But other than that, this could be 20 years years before that, or it could be 10 years before that, or it could be 1 year before it was published. It was a rather large collection, and it was collected over a period of time. In any case, so he says, I should pronounce the prologue, I should give the prologue, but I'm afraid to tell you how this play begins. First, Caiaphas played the priest, and Herod sits as king, Pilate the judge, Judas the juror, verdict in to bring. So again, we're talking about all the people who betrayed Christ, and he's saying that they are like actors in a play. Vain tattling plates the vice, well clad in rich array, and poor Tom Troth is laughed to scorn with garments nothing gay. So he's saying, liars cover over the vice in rich array, but the truth is laughed to scorn because it's not flashy. The woman wantonness, she comes with ticing train, pride in her pocket plates, bo peep and bawdry in his brain. Her handmaids be deceit, danger, and dalliance, riot and revel follow her, they be of her alliance. Next there comes in Simswash to see what stir they keep. Climb of the Clough, that's a steep valley between two hills, then takes his heels, 'tis time for him to creep. So we just get a reference of woman wantonness, just a manifestation of vices, and specifically vices that are sort of related to sensual behavior. Simswash is also just not necessarily an archetype here, but a metaphor for the sort of stereotypical courtly swain, so to speak. And he gets the climb of the Clough, a steep valley between two hills. So this is probably some sort of bawdy reference. I will leave the details of that to your imagination, but this last part here that's talking about woman wantonness is really just talking about the degeneracy of people at court who prefer flashy things to the truth. To pack the pageant up comes sorrow with a song. He says these jests can get no groats, and all this gear got wrong. So now we get a reference to music, which is quite interesting here. So again, he says pageant. This is another reason why I think this is a mask that he's referring to rather than a public theater production. And also that would be in keeping with the courtly theme of the poems, and also with the idea that there's some sort of vice playing into this. With a more intimate audience like you would get at a mass production, the performers were often individuals who were members of the court, and therefore you get a lot of innuendos and inside jokes and things like that that you wouldn't necessarily get the same level of or type of in a general audience performance at a playhouse. Anyway, he says, sorrow comes in with a song at the end, and says, these jests can get no groats. Nobody's going to pay for this. This is all wrong. First, pride without cause why. He sings the treble part, the highest part. The mean he mumbles out of tune. The mean is a middle part, sort of like the alto part equivalent. For lack of life and heart. Cost lost, the countertenor chanteth on apace. Countertenor is being used here probably to reference actually with the modern day tenor part. Thus all in discord stand the cliff, and beggary sings bass. So cliff here means clef. So it's saying discord stands the clef. So discord is telling you where the notes go. Discord is giving you direction as to what to sing. And beggary sings the bass. You know, the beggary being just like poverty. So we've got this image of a choir, but it's a choir full of vicious individuals that are in discord with each other and not in harmony with each other. The players loose their pains, where so few pence are stirring. Their garments wear for lack of gains, and fret for lack of furring. So they're not really receiving benefits for the pains that they're giving to sing. But that makes sense because it's discord and it's chaos, and nobody's going to pay for that. It's not harmonious. When all is done and past, was no part played but one. For every player played the fool, till all be spent and gone. So really, this wasn't a choir. This wasn't a production. It was really just one part, the part of the fool, being played by everyone. Quite an indictment of the court. And he says, till all is be spent and gone. So people play the fool. The whole court plays the fool until there's nothing left. And thus this foolish jest I put in doggerel rhyme, because a crozier staff is best for such a crooked time. Crozier staff being the staff of a bishop with a cross, but often and a crooked end, you know, like the shepherd's staff is incorporated into the crozier staff because the bishop is supposed to be a shepherd, you know, shepherd of the people. And quite a stirring indictment of the times here. A crooked time. There was a golden age, according to Gascoignes, where people weren't vicious in politics. That did not last. And now people are just out for themselves, for their own gain, for their greed, for their sensuous desires, and so on and so forth. And he's going into the court again in a different way. He's going to essentially law school. The system was different. It would take a long time to explain now if you're not not familiar with it, but he's going into the court again, but from a position of trying to work in the legal system of the court instead of just being a random courtier flitting about here and there doing who knows what. But at the same time, he's saying that the system he's entering into is one that's corrupt, inherently corrupt and discordant, and is only getting worse. And he's saying this to individuals who are also in the same position as him, preparing to serve as lawyers in some sense in the court. So a very interesting and telling perspective on that world. One wonders, why is he going into the court again, especially the legal part of the court, when he thinks this way about the court? I mean, he hasn't said anything good about the court yet in these poems, and that's the end. This is the last one. So in the larger discussion, a lot of this will get tied together. I look forward to that, giving you some questions to think about. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. I hope you're getting something out of it. And I look forward to sharing more of these great texts with you later. I'll see you around.